We've never found systemic fraud, not enough to overturn the election. We have over 250 cases right now. We don't see anything that would overturn, the will of the people here in Georgia.
But there's no doubt in your mind President Trump lost the state of Georgia, lost the election.
Yeah, sad but true. I wish he would have won. I'm a conservative Republican, and I'm disappointed, but those are the results.
Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger after the 2020 election when Joe Biden became the first Democrat to win Georgia since Bill Clinton. Ballots were counted there 3 times, the outcome not in doubt, even as Donald Trump continues to falsely claim he won. And Trump, of course, is facing criminal charges over his post-election actions in Georgia. But the race will be tight in 2024. Here's Rachel Scott starting our series on the battleground states that will determine the outcome.
6 months out from an anticipated rematch between President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump, the race to secure Georgia's 16 electoral votes is in full swing.
With your vote, we are going to win the state of Georgia in an epic landslide.
All of you here today, you're the reason why we're going to win.
While there are many issues animating voters in the state,
to me, our financial situation is huge.
My most important issue is student loan coverage.
Closing the border.
2020 election denial still looms over the 2024 race in Georgia, where Trump has pleaded not guilty to 10 criminal counts over his alleged efforts to overturn the 2020 results there. But Biden's lackluster approval and charges he hasn't lived up to his campaign promises call into question whether he can reassemble the coalition that delivered him his slimmest margin of victory over Trump 4 years ago. Polling suggests it will be an uphill battle for Biden, with Trump leading by an average of 6 points in a head-to-head matchup.
Oh, there's no question that this is going to be a close election.
Senator Raphael Warnock, who has been on the ballot 5 times over 2 years, knows his state's voters well.
I would urge him to do what we're doing, and that is to keep telling the story about the work that we are doing. The other side doesn't have anything to talk about.
To win in November, Biden needs to turn out voters, especially black voters, and Metro Atlanta's Democratic strongholds. Places like Fulton County, home to Cascade Skating Roller Rink, a mainstay in Atlanta's black community. For owner Greg Alexander, an Air Force veteran, Biden is the clear choice.
I cannot, in good conscience, support Donald Trump.
But he says the president needs to do a better job at selling his record.
What I'm hearing is, what has Biden done for the country? What has Biden done for black people? He has to really focus on getting the word out on, this is what I've done, this is what I stand for.
Bucky Bassett isn't sold on either candidate.
Is there any scenario where you just sit this election out?
That's a strong possibility as well.
And he's not alone. A January poll from the Atlanta Journal-Constitution found that 1 in 10 black voters in the state say they don't plan to vote this November. Could that significantly hurt the president?
I think that Georgia voters, black voters included, are going to show up for Joe Biden the same way they showed up for me. Not to vote is to vote. It is to push Donald Trump a little bit closer to the White House, and that is a dangerous proposition.
Hello, Georgia.
But a Trump victory is exactly what several Georgia voters we spoke to are hoping for.
I'm going with Trump all the way. He's my man.
Tommy Thomas owns Thomas Barber Shop in the affluent Buckhead neighborhood of Atlanta. And here, they're always talking politics.
Do you think that Trump can win this state again?
I think if people look at their pocketbooks, I think they're going to change their mind this time.
To retake the state, Trump will also have to win over voters like Lynn Dickens, a self-described big Nikki Haley supporter. Lynn supported Trump in 2020, but this time, she says his priorities are off.
I feel like there's just so much drama associated with him at the moment, and I'm not convinced that he is necessarily focused on the issues at hand right now.
Out in Rockmart, just over an hour outside Atlanta, a much different sentiment. Like the city's congressional representative Marjorie Taylor Greene,
we're going to re-elect our favorite president.
People I spoke to here in Polk County, where Trump earned 78% of the vote in 2020, are still firmly behind the former president.
I like his vibe.
At local bar and grill, The Rails at Rockmart, we met Sharon Capes. She says her support for the former president is unwavering.
Would you still support Trump if he was convicted of a crime?
Absolutely.
No questions asked?
No questions asked. No questions asked. I would bail him out if I could afford it.
Sharon believes Trump's false claims that the last election was stolen.
What will get you to actually have trust in the November election, in the system.
I guess if Trump wins, I would probably have trust in it again.
Gabriel Sterling, the chief operations officer in the Georgia Secretary of State's office, says that position undermines American democracy.
What happens if he wins Georgia but loses the country? Do you accept it then? What happens if he loses Georgia but wins the country? Do you accept it then? I mean, you can't base your belief in the outcome based on whether your side wins or not. That's just not logical.
A lifelong Republican, Sterling supported Trump in 2020. But when Trump refused to accept that he lost, he became one of the loudest voices defending Georgia's election. His plea to voters this cycle: have faith in the system.
Anybody saying, I feel safe about my vote here, but I don't know about those guys over there, we do know about those guys over there. It's a little bit different, but it's safe and secure everywhere in America.
For This Week, Rachel Scott, ABC News Atlanta.
Thanks to Rachel for that.